Day on Monday, it's a bit of an auspicious day. You know, a couple of 80-degree days, and whammo, it's time for road construction. Yes, and so we'll talk about that right now. Nick Schirripa is back with us from the Michigan Department of Transportation. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Richard. Why do you have to associate the 80-degree weather with the road construction thing?
Well, it seems like we just broke spring.
You just ruined this great weather for everyone. Nice.
Actually, I think we're thrilled about it, you know?
Oh, good. Okay. Yay, road construction.
Let's fill some potholes and make some driving a little easier.
Right on.
But we'll just have to go through the process of that. And
sure.
I guess the big project close to Battle Creek is this stretch of I-94 at 40th Street, right? Yep.
That the interchange at 40th Street or exit 88. So last year we were bugging everybody at exit 92. This year we move a couple miles, 4 miles to be precise, to the west and exit 88, and that's getting rebuilt. So anybody who drives and uses that exit will want to either use exit 92 or exit 85 on either side, depending on where you're going. But, that's going to get rebuilt. It's going to be a whole lot nicer. It's going to relieve some of that congestion we get in that corridor. That is a primarily commercial interchange.
Yeah.
Lots of truck traffic at the Target Distribution Center there and Eaton Corporation. And the ramps we have there now are just so, dare I say, insufficient.
They are. They're a little odd, aren't they? It's an interesting exit.
Well, and you got to remember that exit was designed, 50, 55 years ago.
Right.
So it's certainly outdated in terms of design. Back in the 1960s, traffic wasn't moving at 70, 75, 80 miles an hour. It was moving at 40, 45, 50, maybe 55. And certainly it wasn't as commercially developed there. There wasn't the target location wasn't there. I don't think the Eaton Center the Eaton facility was there, and if it was, it certainly wasn't that much traffic. So it fit the time. It's just traffic and use has outpaced its design, so it's time. So we're going to have longer ramps, more time, more room for those big trucks to get up to speed when they're entering the highway, so we're going to have less congestion there and hopefully keep things moving smoothly.
When you exit there, the trucks that are going to the places to which you refer, they're going under the freeway there. That's an unusual design, isn't it? Or at least not common for here,
Correct. That Michigan Avenue bridge, essentially, it's an underpass, Michigan Avenue under I-94. There's a goofy turn involved. And, the geometry's not great. So, and that's going away. Michigan Avenue on the north side of I-94 will essentially tee off into 40th Street. There will be a new 40th Street bridge crossing I-94. Sorry if I was going to sneeze. A new bridge crossing I-94, and then Michigan Avenue will continue to the east, south of I-94. So it'll be a little bit, Michigan Avenue will zigzag a little bit, but it'll go over I-94 to new bridge. And again, kind of helping everything move a little bit more smoothly.
Yeah, well, and when you're trying to move big trucks, that's a helpful thing. Nick Schirripa is with us at the Michigan Department of Transportation. We'll come back and pick up where we leave off, including talking about what kind of winter we had. It seems like it was milder than those of late, but we'll talk about that from the snow-moving perspective coming up. WBCK, Richard Piet Show, and here with us this half hour is Nick Schirripa at the Michigan Department of Transportation. So, 40th Street off 94, that's going to be a biggie. Are there other biggies this year?
Not around the Kalamazoo Battle Creek area. We've got a project starting up here pretty soon, later this week. I want to say, it'll be next Monday. I take that back. It's a week from today. But some repaving work on I-194 on the penetrator and on M66 there in Battle Creek. So not a too terribly long stretch. I-194 from Golden Avenue to Hamblin Road. And then M66 from Van Buren to Capitol. Just some repaving there, some concrete pavement repairs. It'll only last a couple months. It's supposed to be done by mid-June. But there's going to be some lane closures, so folks are going to want to plan ahead on that one a little bit and make sure that they allow a couple extra minutes. Still get congested with lane closures, but traffic certainly should be able to move through there.
Okay. And I heard Nico mention I-69 and I-94 at 69. There's some projects to the east as well that will pop up too.
There likely will be some maintenance work that comes up. I know we're having some pavement issues on I-69 right near the Calhoun-Eaton County border. And we're looking at getting those something a little bit longer term than just a patch job. So we're looking at that one. We've got some sign replacement work on the entire I-69 corridor in our region. So that's all the way down Branch and Calhoun counties, and then I-94, the entire length of Calhoun County. There'll be some sign replacement projects there. But again, most part those will be shoulder closures, so it should interrupt traffic.
How long do signs last?
You know, their design life is right around 15 years, give or take.
Oh, okay.
And folks may see us taking those down and think those are perfectly good signs. Why are we getting rid of them? And a big part of that is reflectivity. And the reflectivity decreases so quickly over time that you see them in the day and they look fine, but at night they become difficult to see, especially for older drivers. And I say that with total respect because I'm quickly becoming one of them.
Right.
And I totally understand the impact that can have on nighttime driving. So safety is a big reason. A lot of people ask why we use wooden posts, not metal posts, and that's for shear, what they call shear, the shear factor. If you're in a vehicle traveling at 70 miles an hour and you hit one of those posts, the last thing you want is a steel post. Those aren't going to be very friendly.
Right.
Certainly you're going to damage your car either way, but with a wooden post, it shears off and tends to be safer for everybody around you and the driver and everybody in the car. So
makes sense. Yep.
A couple of factors there.
Do you reuse the metal on those signs? I mean, as you take a sign down, can it be repainted and reused, or is it?
Absolutely.
Shot?
Yep.
Oh,
we recycle all of them. The ones that can be reused will be stripped, and then obviously a new sign put on, a new paint put on, and the ones that can't be reused are just recycled.
Very nice. Was this a tough winter? It seemed like it wasn't, but you would know better.
No, it wasn't tough. You know, we had a couple of challenging weather events, as we do every winter. It doesn't matter if we have 1 or 100. It doesn't matter if we get 10 inches or 1,000 inches. It really doesn't matter. It comes in kind of waves, and each individual event is measured on its own. So we had a couple of challenging events. We can't always, we can't be everywhere at once. And the analogy I like to share with people is imagine shoveling your driveway when it's snowing.
Yeah.
You start at the top. By the time you get down at the bottom, you look back where you've been, and there's already snow accumulated. Now, spread that out over a couple thousand lane miles of I-94 and I-69 and all the other state trunk lines. It's hard to keep up. So we battle with that every winter. But relatively speaking, from a budgetary standpoint, it was a relatively mild winter. We hit lots of home runs this winter. I think our plow operators did a phenomenal job. We had a pretty innovative change this year to our salt delivery system. And it sounds kind of simple, but it's a very simple steel bar that starts and stops how far up and down the salt door on the trucks goes. So it regulates the salt flow. And it sounds so simple, but it saved us thousands of dollars this winter in salt. So we're pretty excited. It was a pretty productive winter. Now, the caveat to all of that is that funding, the winter maintenance budget is the same as the summer maintenance budget.
Right.
So while we didn't spend a whole lot on winter, or certainly not as much as we spent the past couple of winters, that leaves us with a little more funding to use for tree trimming, pothole patching, guardrail, sign repair, that kind of stuff. So the work is still there to use the money on. It's not. We certainly don't have a lack of work to do.
You're not going to send us a refund, huh?
Right. We're certainly not hurting for things to work on.
Yes.
So while it was a mild winter, it just gives us a little more wiggle room this summer to do other stuff.
Nick Schirripa is with us from the Michigan Department of Transportation. We'll come back in just a minute and talk a little bit more about the roads and the work ahead. Nick Schirripa is with us this half hour. We've been talking about road projects and things. So a relatively mild winter. Does that mean if you don't use all the salt, it's still usable next year? It doesn't like it does in our garage, become hard as a rock and tough to break apart and all that?
Yeah, that's actually exactly what that means. Is the less we use, the less we have to buy to refill the barns later. So,
right.
It's kind of it's a rolling accumulation of salt. We don't just buy a barn load every time. We buy whatever we need to refill our barns, and then usually we'll buy a little extra and kind of have it on standby for just such a situation. So, the last couple of winters, we depleted our barns pretty quickly and had to go to a second fill, which doesn't happen often. Usually what we have in our barns will get us through a pretty standard Michigan winter. The past few have been, with the exception of this year, the past couple before that were a little more extreme. There's a little more usage. So whatever we don't use, we just hold on to until the next winter.
A few winters ago, there was that whole shortage on salt and difficulty getting it and all that. Has that all sorted itself out?
It has. Okay. There was just, I think, a lot of that, three winters ago, that winter was pretty extreme. There was a lot of snowfall. There was a lot of snowfall everywhere. Nobody was immune. And it was just, there was such a run on the salt stores. Supply wasn't keeping up with demand. A little bit of it was just kind of panic. I think a lot of road agencies, not just state, but counties and cities as well, saw their salt stores depleting more quickly than they had for any time in the previous decade.
Sure.
And a little bit of it was kind of a knee-jerk reaction. There was a little bit of concern that we were going to run out. So some of it was a little bit of a perception issue rather than actual inventory. But it was kind of a perfect storm, to use a cliche.
All right. We've talked at many times about the availability of traffic cams in our area and how easy it is to see what's going on the freeways locally, see what road conditions are like, see what traffic flow is like, and those really are handy. We've had a couple little challenges, though, with ours here in the 94 stretch recently.
Yeah, technology's fantastic, right? Those have been great, not just for motorists, but we use them internally as well. We have a handful of traffic operation centers around the state that monitor those 24/7, 365. So we've certainly appreciated them internally as much as motorists appreciate them. Unfortunately, we're having some technological glitches with those cameras on I-94, pretty much between US 131 in Kalamazoo and I-69 in Marshall. There's something going on with the new server and the way the cameras communicate with the computer, communicate with everybody else. And we're trying to figure that out. We've had a couple weeks where it's been kind of on again, off again, and I know they're down now. But it's certainly something we're working on.
All right. So certainly use that MI Drive app and check it on the web if you'd rather. And those are great, too, because if you're going to Grand Rapids or Lansing or Detroit, you can look at those cameras, too, and see what conditions are like or what travel is like. So it certainly is still useful. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Statewide, with things are moving along well. We just got this, for whatever reason, this one little chunk I-94 that's giving us some heartburn.
Okay. Well, all this chatter that went on about road funding and so on, and we seem to have that formula sorted out, and there's going to be a delayed effect at funding road projects and more of them. Is MDOT already anticipating how you'll handle that onslaught of funding and distribute that money to fix roads in the future? Are you already planning that out?
I think we kind of have a plan A, plan B. Certainly we're planning on getting it. It's in the legislation. It's not as much as I want to be very careful here, because certainly any increase is welcome. Any increase is greatly appreciated, and we're certainly going to be able to do more in the coming years than we have been. But it's not a cure-all. It's not the silver bullet. It's not the magic answer. And people aren't going to see magically the next 5 years all of our roads in great condition. The struggle still will continue to keep Michigan roads in good condition, and struggle to improve those in poor condition. So we certainly have our work cut out for us in this new funding package. We'll take strides. We'll certainly get us a little closer to our goal. But I don't want people to have the perception that this funding will fix all of our problems.
Okay.
It certainly will not. It gets us closer, though. certainly gets us closer.
Well, and, you know, we can fix everything if we want, but at the same time, we're still driving on them and using them. So it's not, yeah.
Yeah, it's a perpetual cycle.
Right.
It's hard to, you know, part of our struggle is balancing keeping one road in good condition while we're still trying to get other roads in poor condition up to good condition.
Right.
So there's a careful balance that has to be struck every year. And we have a 5-year plan that's online that folks can look at, and that is kind of an organic document that helps us plan that balance for a few years in advance. So it's something we struggle with. And when I say struggle, I don't mean it's difficult to plan. I mean it's hard to plan, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because things change from one year to the next. We may have a road that's in good condition, and we think we can put it off for a couple more years to go to a couple other roads that are in poor condition, but that road that's in good condition could very quickly deteriorate for whatever reason. An increase in traffic or some climactic weather event that washes out half the road and we get a sinkhole, you know, something like that. So every moment things kind of change, and we really have to stay on top of it.
Speaking of online, the projects that we alluded to and others are easily seen in a list on your website, right?
They are indeed. If you go to michigan.gov/drive, our MyDrive website is kind of our statewide clearinghouse. If you want to see what's going on in your area, or if you're planning a trip from one city to the next, or what have you, maybe you just want to see what's going on with the daily commute, you can get a look at not only construction and maintenance projects we've got out there, but if there are any incidents in your way. So if you're getting ready to leave work to get home, or maybe you have an important appointment you got to get to, you just want to double check, make sure there's no lane closures, michigan.gov/drive, a great clearinghouse for all that stuff. It'll show you all kinds of great layers you can put on that map, and certainly do a search by route or by county. And that is available as a free app as well. Michigan.gov/drive. The MyDrive app is free in Google Play or the App Store.
All right, very good. Thank you, Nick. We'll stay in touch, and as the season goes on, I'm sure we'll have more to talk about. Nick Schirripa with the Michigan Department of Transportation.